the lovely Veronica Holmes. So excited. We're kicking off the launch of our virtual Vital Voices series presented by Enterprise Bank. So my name is Krista Brown, and I'm the founder of the Free Soil Arts Collective. We are an arts organization based in Lowell, Mass, with a mission to amplify and strengthen the voices of artists of color. So I'm happy to welcome you to the Vital Voices series presented by Enterprise Bank. This is a six-part digital series where every month now through February, on the third Saturday of the month at noon, we'll be talking to a different artist. So I want to thank Enterprise Bank, obviously, for their support. Studio 26 Associates, who's our episode sponsor. They're a Black-owned architecture firm based in Lowell, and also BRM Production Management. So next, I'm going to throw it off to Veronica Holmes, who is a self-taught artist born in Kingston, Jamaica, Trenchtown to be exact. When asked about her talent, Veronica's response was, "It will always be God-given, and I just feel very comfortable with a brush or with a pencil in hand expressing an idea." Her inspiration and influences are memories of Jamaica, the lifestyle, culture, and religion of the people. So Veronica, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you. And I feel so honored to be here and to be the first one.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate this. And let's go for it.
Yes. So Veronica, tell us a little bit about your life growing up in Jamaica. What was kind of like your earlier years like?
My earlier years was fun. I can actually say that. I enjoyed my, I am an adopted child, for everyone to know. I was adopted by a beautiful woman. She's since passed with breast cancer, but she had, her father was white and her mother was East Indian. And I was raised in a, I would say, kind of eclectic household. My grandmother, who was my mentor, also my champion, and grandfather. Now, they were all just like three random people that came together, because she was also adopted. It was three random people that came together and raise a child. So, and it was beautiful. And my early years was Trenchtown. I was born in Trenchtown, and I spent until I was 6 or 7 years old, I left. But I was always back and forth all over the island. So at age 9, I went to boarding school, and I spent 9 long years in boarding school until I was 17 years old, and then migrated to the United States, and been here ever since.
Wow.
And so for me personally, that's all of that is part of what my art involves. So.
And you say that you're a self-taught artist. So how did you discover that you had a talent for this type of work?
I can blame my adoptive mom for that. I used to bug her all the time because she had long hair, and I used to constantly bother her and play with her hair. And I was doing, and she just got sick of me that day, and she saw this comic book, and she threw the comic book at me and said, "Here." And on the back of the comic book, they had a deer where you could draw. It said, "Draw this," and you submit it to wherever. And she said, "Here, go draw that." And I took it and went and drew it. I brought it back to her. She said, "You traced it." I said, "No, I didn't. I drew it." And she had me do it again in front of her. And she just went, "Oh, wow." And ever since that day, she made sure she got me pencils, crayons, every single thing that could, because she saw that I had a talent. So and I was 3 years old at the time. I was 3 years old living in Trenchtown, and she constantly. So as a child, I just kind of was drawn to, no pun intended, to anything artistic. So my early years, I was always drawing men picking breadfruit which is a, yeah, and, or Batman, Superman, all those kind of things. So that for me, or draw anything around the house. Was it the television, you know, back then with the rabbit ears. So all of that for me was, and trees outside. But I found that I love to draw people. So I constantly tried drawing people. And those are my early memories of being self-taught. So I would just study people's face, look at people from every, you know, 6, 7, 8, up until I just kept love drawing people. Even though I do landscapes, but people meant more to me than anything else.
And for those of us out there who may not be familiar with your work, I really encourage people to look up Veronica Holmes, go to vphomesart.com and look at your work. It is uncanny what you're able to do by looking at a photo. It's insane.
Thank you.
But you're also a storyteller. So can you talk to us a little bit about how your upbringing in Jamaica may have influenced the stories that you tell, the stories you like to tell?
I find that art and storytelling are one and the same. One is just a visual, and the other one is words. If you look at history, historians know about any civilization because of art. We know about the ancient Egyptians because of their artistic references. We know about the hunter-gatherers of, you know, cavemen and all that because of their illustrations on those caves. So it became vital for me to really tell my story through art. And if you don't tell your story, someone else will, and they will tell a kind of a misguided or misinformation about it. So I find that growing up in Trenchtown, I constantly hear people talk about Trenchtown and as this derogatory, you know, a bunch of misfits or crime-ridden slum. And it was not that for me. I saw art in Trenchtown. As a child, I used to see Bob Marley, not name dropping or anything like that, but but we did. But he never meant that to us as we saw him. I saw Toots. I saw different artists, reggae artists in Trenchtown. The music, Rastafarianism. I was raised Rastafarian. So, and for me, and when I came to the United States, and a lot of times people would say to me, you know, what? Oh, you're from Jamaica. And the first question they would ask, one, do you know Bob Marley? Not personally, yeah, glanced, but, or do you know where to get some good weed at? And that used to offend me a lot because we're not, you know, dread-wearing weed smokers. There's something more to what's vital: music, religion, innovators. We can do a lot more. One of my, when I came to the United States, one of the artists that I was attracted to, Jacob Lawrence. He was an African-American artist that was also a storyteller. And he told of the lifestyle he had in Harlem. And that also inspired me. So wait a minute, I can tell my story through my art, and, you know, someone can have a visual idea of what we went through. We were not just, you know, as the saying goes, can anything good come out of Trenchtown? Yes, I did. I came out of Trenchtown.
No, I love that. So when you're telling your stories, what's the message you're typically trying to like bring across? What's the goal, you would say?
The goal is things that because I find that we all can relate to each other through whether it be social issues, whether social economic issues, whether it be religious, on whatever platform, whatever level. I can relate to a lot of people that way. If someone has gone through domestic abuse, domestic violence, sexual abuse, I can relate to them through that. So in my stories will include subjects such as that. Whether it be adoption, someone may feel like as if they are not wanted, or suicide attempt. I can relate to a lot of things like that. So all those subjects, everything like that will touch it. So it's storytelling is everyday life in pictures for me.
I like that. And you also say that your art too is kind of a form of therapy for yourself. Can you explain a little bit about what that means?
At age, I want to say age 16, 17, I was diagnosed manic depressive. Now it's considered bipolar disorder. And it was my way of coping. And I didn't realize that until later years. And I find that whenever I get to that point where I feel like I can't move forward, I can't move ahead, I pick up a pencil or I pick up and I just start I just start sketching something, and it becomes, and I look at it and it starts a healing process for me. And sometimes it gives me the answers that I need, and sometimes not. But but it also includes my faith. So a lot of things. So art for me is more than just picking up. It's you're going through your mind, your heart, and your soul. You're putting everything on paper and allowing it to become you, or someone else can see it and ask you a question. So, well, what does that mean? And in the explanation to that individual brings about my healing. Because as I'm sharing with them, I'm going, oh, wow, I get a different perspective. And it's healing. It brings about healing.
Yes. I mean, I totally relate. Like, you can see something, hear something, and it can hit you in such a level that other things can't.
Yes.
And you put so much of yourself in your work. What does it mean? Because I mean, you could draw anything. You could do anything you wanted with your storytelling, with your illustrations. How important is you to make sure that your work is a reflection of who you are?
It is very important, because I can say this much. I have something that I'm going to be working on. I've already done the narrative, and it's called Laid to Rest. And it's the story of my grandmother and how the news of her passing, how she died. But at least I'm going to be telling the story from the perspective of some of the things that she taught me as a child, and some of the adventures we went on. Now, it's not long, it's gonna be condensed, but just to say, my grandmother was murdered in Jamaica. And it took everything within me to write all that out, and to say, and to talk about her. Because there are times I talk about her and it brings tears to my eyes, because she was all 4'11" and a mighty little lion. And she played such a really positive role in my life. She's the one that really made me the person that I am. She taught me how to be strong. She taught me how to, because without any, I'm a really shy person. And when I tell people I'm shy, they go, yeah, right. So yeah, I'm extremely shy, but put me in my element, everything comes out.
Yes.
So it's outside of my element, I have nothing to say.
Let it speak for itself.
Exactly, exactly. So that's how important it is for me to art and I intertwine. It's,
Mm.
you know, that's who
Yeah.
we are. Here comes my grandson.
Oh, yay. Hi, grandson.
Or they, both of
So,
us.
so if we fast forward and think about, you originally being in Jamaica and then coming to Lowell,
Hmm.
what are some experiences you had as an artist, like just navigating the world and, making a living for yourself? What was that like?
Um, I left home when I was 19 years old, and I went on my own, just kind of became a just traveling, stayed with friends and friends of friends. And I got pregnant at age 22, 23, my firstborn, and struggled, dealt with the welfare system. But all the while, I never gave up on art. I would sit down and illustrate wherever. And I had several books, and then someone stole them. And I was so heartbroken because I just thought that, oh, I've lost everything. And later on, I met someone, we moved away, went to Maryland. And again, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this because this is what I want to do. But others would look at me and say, there is no money in art.
Mm.
You can't make a living doing art. And I said, yes, you can. And they said, people would say to me, well, you'll only be famous after you die. And I said, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to be famous alive. And I recall one day talking about, I think it was Michael Kincaid, he's known as the artist of light.
Mm.
And I said, I'm just going to be like Michael Kincaid. And the individual said to me, girl, you call that art? Yeah. And I said, yeah, I'm like, yes, it's art. It's an expression of who he is. He was known as the painter of light.
Mm.
No, I didn't, try to follow him or anything like that. But at the same time, his commercial way on the things of life. And I just wanted to say this much. Say this. Side note: I was supposed to go to college for my major would have been journalism, and my second major would have been commercial art. Got all the
Wow.
got all the paperwork done, everything. And my mom and I, we had such a kind of relationship. And I said to her, did everything. And I looked at her, I said, I am not going to college. And let me tell you something. I didn't realize that the vein right here of someone's temple could get that big. That thing pulsated like, she said, what? If you're not going to college, you're not staying in this house. I'm like,
Wow.
whatever. But I made that decision. And I was supposed to go to, I think it was Danbury State College, some college in Connecticut. But anyway,
Mm.
the reason I chose not to, because I spent 9 years in boarding school. And it was, boarding school was different. It was a regimen. 5 o'clock in the morning, you get up, there was a bell that rung and you woke up. To this day, I wake up at 5. I'm conditioned to wake up
Wow.
at 5. So 9 years of that. And a bell rung, you went to eat. A bell rung, you got up from the table. A bell rung for every single thing. We were raised to be mothers and housewives. I did go to a school outside, but we were taught to be whatever. And when she said, well, you're going to go live in a dorm just like you were in boarding school, no. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want it. And I said, I'm not going to, not understanding I was going to have my freedom.
Mm.
I never got it. I didn't understand.
Wow.
And at 19, I said bye-bye, left my
Mm,
mom, came to Boston,
mm,
and just kind of circumvented life. But in all of that, art was a significant, because I never stopped drawing. I never stopped creating. I never,
mm.
even story writing, I never stopped. I write poetry. I don't tell people that, but I write a lot. I do.
Wow.
I know. I don't tell people I do poetry because they're so personal. But
Mm,
all of that, and as I write the stories, I illustrate for the stories, or
mm,
yeah, it's one in the same. So
mm,
I always, my life centers around art. By any type of job I have, art has to be an intricate part of it. Anything that I
mm,
do, art must be involved, because art is who we are. It's
mm,
who I hang. I can't see you without a visual concept of who you are.
mm.
That's
That's
art.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So having this mindset and kind of already having a kind of clear sense on the type of work that you want to do, the type of life you
Mm-hmm.
want to live. How were you, I don't want to say how you were received, but like when you came to the Lowell area, you
Mm-hmm.
already had this incredible gift. What were the resources available at the time? Like what was it like trying to like build a life as an artist in Lowell?
Well, when I first came, the one of the people I did get speak with a lot was Steve at the Van Gogh's Gear. A
Mm,
sweet guy. I always talk to him, and he would tell me about different things that's going on. And you said, well, at that time, I think they used to have a it's kind of like October. I forgot what it was called, but it was and he would always encourage me to participate. I wasn't part of the big um, art scene, so to speak, but when I first moved to Lowell, I moved here to work as I was working at the Lowell Alliance for Families and Neighborhoods.
mm,
I was the director. So, and that program is, and still is, it's a subsidiary of something with DCF. And it's more or less like a conduit where they help families to adjust, readjust to life from the system back and forth. And that was our role. But at the same time, even though I did, it was just to make a living for my children.
mm,
So what I did, yeah, I'm a single mom with 4 children, and divorced. So I decided in 2007 to resign and just start off the cuff, just say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go out, and I started taking commissions and charging people, because I even though I could draw, I never really presented myself as an artist storyteller per se.
mm,
I think there was some lack of confidence, because when you look at other people's art, you go, oh, I'm not that good, or you get the snobbish kind of approach. Well, the first question, well, where did you matriculate? I'm like, in my bedroom. Uh,
yeah.
because that's where my studio is. Well, did you? No, I did attend Northern Essex for a few years, and I tried incorporating my artistic skills, graphic design. I did receive a what do you call it, a certificate, but I didn't really complete the whole thing, welfare reform and all that kind of stuff. And I said, oh, you know what, bye. And went, got a job, and just still behind all of that, somehow I incorporated art.
Mm,
Somehow it had, even with the job I had, I started, with the um, community. I did what something called SOAR, survivors overcoming abusive relationships. And really what I did was have survivors submit art and poetry. And, you know, it was like a contest, so to speak, and created a little thing around it, and it was well received. And my boss at the time, Harold Magoon, sweet man, says, wow, I just love your talent. I just love your talent. So I was always encouraged. And another thing I used to do, because I found that I couldn't afford to give people Christmas gifts. So I used to ask them, what's your favorite animal? What do you like? And they would tell me, and for Christmas, they'll receive a drawing of their favorite animal.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that was a little marketing thing. So, you know,
yes.
share that.
And I know you shared a story with me about being in Lowell. Of course, everyone is very familiar with the history of the mills and, you know, the landscape of it all, and how people wanted to see that type of stuff from you. Do you mind talking about that a little bit?
Yeah, I recall someone looking at my artwork once, and they said, well, you know, you should draw more of what's essential to Lowell. You know, and my response was, you know, you can walk outside and see it. I don't always have to. I want to share what I know about me and my role in Lowell. And what I find that to me is, other than the mills and the landscape, it's the people of Lowell. And I would love to see a group of artists, some of us, come together and do something called Along the Merrimack River. And it's not about the landscape, it's about the people. Look how it's a melting pot. We have Asians, African American, Hispanic, of all, from Latinas from everywhere, Spain, from South America, Brazil, Portuguese, and all of that influx has created a beautiful flow of the Merrimack Valley, along the Merrimack. And I would love to see whether a mural, whether it be, I don't know. It's the concept. It's just always there, and just to incorporate everyone and everything that has affected the Merrimack Valley. And I know Lowell is kind of like a what you call a gateway for many immigrant groups. The lacking immigrant group here is Jamaicans. All my Jamaicans, where you at? Come on, we need some patty, we need some corker bread, curry goat, come on. I don't see that. I gotta go all the way to Boston to get that. So I would love to see something like that. It's, and I recall having a conversation with I think he's from New York. He used to come and see me when Cool had a store. Cool had a storefront downtown, and I was working there. Liz and Andy hired me to be there, and he would come in and he said, you know, I'm really tired of seeing the mills. I want to see something else about Lowell. All the art that everybody's doing, the mills. Do something else. Lowell is beautiful. The architecture, yeah, we get it. Mill City, and you look all that smoke going up. Is that it? No. And I said, no, you know, you're right. And he looked at my artwork. He said, I love your work. It's different. Are you from Lowell? I said, yes, no, I am. He says, well, are you originally from Lowell? And I told him where I was from. He says, that's what Lowell needs to do.
Yes.
The influence of the immigrants coming out of those smoke pits and smokestacks.
Yes. I mean, and we could go deeper. I don't think we can for this call, but there's a whole, it goes so much deeper.
We can create a time that we can all get together and talk about this. Kind of like the
Yes.
Harlem Renaissance. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
lot of history underneath the surface about
Yes.
what was fueling the
Yes.
mill. Yes. Um,
Yes.
Very true. And not to put you on the spot, Veronica, but we have a few people in the
Mm-hmm.
comments who really want to see more of your work. So I don't know if you're able to
Oh,
take your iPad and give us a closer look at some of the stuff behind you, or
um,
I don't know if you're able to.
let me see. It's kind of the let it be known I don't have a formal studio anymore. I used to, and a couple years ago I suffered a stroke, and a lot of things happened, and so I had to give up the studio. Still owe money for it, and I will pay it back, but I intend to go back in the studio. So I'm yes, my daughter is gonna help to show.
Oh, thank you. Oh, this is great. And Veronica, do you mind
Okay.
talking about what you use, I guess, to create these pieces?
Well, most currently, I find that people love black and white. So I use mostly right now it's graphite
Okay.
for the pencil, and I rarely use charcoal because it's so messy. So I'll use graphite and pastels for color background. I also use acrylic for the paintings. I've yet to get into oils, but currently it's just mostly graphite and pastel and pen and ink.
And can you also explain, I honestly don't know the right term for it, but people can commission you and either
Mm-hmm.
share a photo with you,
Yes.
or just tell you what they would like and you just create it.
Well, I like to, whenever commissioned to do, sometimes someone will give me yeah, my hairstylist is trying to fix me up.
I love this.
It's my daughter, it's my youngest daughter. She's my stylist, and everything, you know, make sure I get dressed right because the stroke affected me in different ways. So my children helped me out quite a deal. Back to your question. What was it again? I'm sorry.
Oh, so anyone out there who wants to commission you, how does
Okay.
that work?
Okay. They can either contact me via Instagram, Facebook, or they can go online to vphomesart.com and go to the commission page, and they can submit a photo. Um, what I like to do though is for most people is to take the picture of them myself if it's for them. A lot of time they'll give me a picture of I find I'm doing what I call the term memorials, where someone submit a picture of an aunt, uncle, a family member that has passed away. And so I know I can't do anything with that more than just work with what I have. But if it's say, for example, you wanted a commission, and I will come to you, take a photo, and work from that. Because therein, it's not somebody else's work. Because sometimes someone will bring me a picture from a studio that they took years ago, and I know it's been edited. And you look at it, and you look at the individual, says, "Honey, you're missing a mole." But because it's edited and it's not true them. So if I take the picture of them myself, I can capture the light that's in that person, because I believe everyone has a light within, whether it's dim or bright or whatever. And one of the things that many people have said to me is, how is it that there's a light that in the individual that comes out when you do their work? And I said, I just draw what I see. I draw what I see, and I see the light in that individual. may sound corny, but it's true.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And we're actually around that time where I do want to open it up for questions from folks out there who are joining us either on Zoom or Facebook Live. So if anyone has any questions for Veronica while we have her, you can use the chat for those of you on our Zoom, and anyone out there on Facebook, just in the comments. And I will just doing double duty here. So I'm going to see what's going on the Facebook. Okay. So Veronica, could you talk a little bit about, as an artist, like what would you say you need right now? Like what's the support that you could benefit from either on a community level or just folks out there who love your story and want to help?
Well, I can say that this right now, it's great. It's excellent resource, excellent support. You're doing a phenomenal job. And I will say to all the artists and everyone that participates or who wants to participate, join up with Free Soil Art. And this is a bus that you're driving. And I think we as artists need to get on that bus. I keep saying it, yeah. Get on that bus and be supportive of it. And allow it to be something that sticks around for a long time. That's a great support for artists of color. Yes, you know, there are other things. I would love to see more exhibits, more galleries. Yeah, even if it's temporary, you know, at the holidays, we should be able to have, and I don't want to make it exclusive to only people of color, but that's what I'm saying. But
more opportunities. Yeah,
more opportunities. Exactly. So, and I know in Lowell, the businesses in Lowell does support artists a lot. As a matter of fact, you said Purple Carrot. Is that the name of the? Yes. I met with the owner, and I will be exhibiting January and February of next year.
Yes. Exactly. Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, and she was sweet woman. So, but I would love to see more of just more cultural stuff for us. And you know, Brood Awakening is awesome in supporting artists. The All Gallery, they're beautiful. They do wonderful things. You know, there's the all the different studios downtown where I had mine, and Gates Block. I that's where I used to be, but hopefully I can get back there at some point after I pay up all my debts.
But well, let's be frank, Veronica. We have all these people listening. You would like to have a loft or a studio.
Yeah, I would.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to get back in the studio, and honestly, I would love to get back at Gates Block. It's a beautiful place. It's I love the sunny side of the building, of course. And once I come up with the money I owe and pay them off, and hopefully I can get back in there. I love that place. I love it.
We can talk.
Yeah. So yeah, but at the same time, it's just and I know I will get back to it because I have that confidence to know. It's for me, it's the being sick for so long. It and I must say it took me a while to get back to art after suffering a stroke. It scared me because I never thought I would be able to draw again, because what happened was I had lost so much. I lost a few memories. My speech pattern was affected, still affected in some way. The way I walk was affected. I still can't raise my right hand above my head, but my son's grandmother was one of the first ones to give me a commission afterward. And I was afraid. I can honestly say I was afraid because I was afraid to see how it was going to come out. Because I thought I went and I did a Peter Tosh drawing. And it outdid myself. And I was just like, thank God I didn't lose it. I thought I lost it. And that was very, very scary. I thought I lost it, but I'm back.
Yes. So, I mean, life is so unpredictable, but
Yes, it
just
is.
grateful
It
that you
is.
still have this gift and you can still do what you love. We did have a question from somebody asking, let me pull it up properly. Yeah, so her name is April Danielson, and she says that she's looking for an illustrator for a children's book that she's written during quarantine. Would you be able to create characters? Do you do that sort of work?
Sometimes I do. It depends. I would have to meet with her and
Okay.
we can talk
Okay.
and see. Yeah. I say
Sure.
no to nothing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you heard that, April. I'm gonna try and connect you both with the power of social media.
Yeah.
We also had a comment from Michael Johnson, who's curious about your Instagram posts and says, I'm interpreting that as, do you need more support maintaining your Instagram account? Do you need any help in the social media world?
I need
You want.
all the help I can. When it comes to social media, I'm nervous because the word that scares me the most is spam.
Yes.
And and I just don't, I'm just afraid that if I put too much out there, someone go shut me down. That's spam, block, block, block. So I have always been looking for someone to do the social media part of that, because that's another art within itself, which
It is.
I don't have. Yeah, I don't have the expertise. So yes, I'm always looking for that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
If there are any other questions, feel free to hit in the comments, folks. And let me see. Okay, sorry, I'm just switching screens.
That's okay.
Okay.
One of the things too I must comment is, being an artist, I meet some of the most beautiful people at times. I have had artists that have, and I just feel humbled. There's one that he's all the way up in Maine now, but he used to be in Haverhill. Lord Clinton Casey is an African American artist, beautiful work, and the compliments he gave me as an artist was like so humbling. Like, oh my God, he loves my work. He loves my work, and because the way because I was always looking for critique, because as you know that there are times that people will look at your work and ask and say, well, oh, you're self-taught, you didn't learn all the disciplines or anything like that. And I said, oh, excuse me, it says low battery.
Oh no, no problem.
Okay. I got it's got unplugged. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
All right, so I can't use my headset anymore. But anyway, so having other artists just, validating what I do is one of the most beautiful things. And so I just want to put that out there.
Thank you.
And I appreciate, I really appreciate it.
Oh, sure. I mean, Veronica, this to me is, we met a long time ago. I don't know, it was a year or two. And I was like, Free Soil's really new. And I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something. And I'm just really happy that, that this is happening, and that hopefully folks out there who are listening, who are connected to galleries, who want art, I'm going to commission you for something. Like, I think it's important for us to invest in the people who live here, who
Mm-hmm.
we don't always have to go out of our community.
Exactly. One of the things that I've heard that was kind of discouraging to me was there are no good artists in Lowell, and there are no good art in Lowell. And I did ask the question, why do you say that? And I say, well, again, goes right back to all they draw are the mills, or all they paint are the mills. I says, well, it's who they are. People will express what they feel. They wake up in the morning, if you live across from a smokestack, that's what you're gonna paint, a smokestack. And for those of us who have been exposed to more than smokestacks, more than the Merrimack River, bring our influence, all our influences. I've been exposed to everything from the ghettos to the best part of Jamaica. In boarding school, I lived my best life, one of my best life. It wasn't, I recall someone asked me, oh, it must be sad growing up in Jamaica, you were always hungry. And I looked at them like, huh? No. Honey, there were too many fruit trees for me to be hungry. Too many. And the thing, even growing up in Trenchtown, one of the things that we celebrate is the community. And honey, every single day, there's a huge pot of fire, somebody cooking something, and you're invited to eat. If you are, outside in the street, and to me in Jamaica, and especially in Trenchtown, there's always a neighbor. And her name will always be Miss Mary. Always be Miss Mary. And I think it's just a common nickname most people use out of respect. And Miss Mary will see you. And the first thing she look at, Pitney, you eat? And, that's the name for a child back home. Call you Pitney. Pitney, you eat? And if they know my grandmother, they call her Miss Lur. Me know Miss Lur for you, but come eat. Now, I was taught never to eat from strangers, never to eat from anybody. So I had to pick and choose who I ate from. If I told my grandmother I ate from Miss Mary round the corner, I would get a whooping for eating from Miss. No, my belly was full, but I'm still getting a whooping for eating from Miss Mary round the corner. I didn't care. Because I was not supposed to eat from Miss Mary around the corner. Now, Miss Mary down the lane, that's a different Miss Mary. Go down Miss Mary, and you can eat from Miss Mary down the lane. And that's how I grew up. That's how I grew up. So, and when they asked me that, I was like, no, I was never hungry. I never went to bed hungry. My grandmother made sure I ate. She did what we call day's work. And she would go and wash people's clothes, clean the house. And she would be coming back home with a big old basket on her head. We didn't call those things basket, we call them bankra. And she'd be coming with a big bankra on her head where she had jam, bananas, all kind of stuff. And my grandma, I was an only child, and then my grandfather. But my grandmother would be cooking this huge pot of food. But she was not cooking only for her, she was cooking for the neighbors. Everybody ate. Everybody ate. So, and that's how I remember. That's the life I remember. And I still do it to this very day. I have 4 kids, but I don't cook small meals. I really don't.
Yes.
Somebody can pass by. And just to interject this, I'll tell you a quick story. My grandmother, she would cook, and there was this one man, every single day at 3:00, like clockwork, he would be at the gate. Miss Lord, we just a pass through. And I would just sit there like, You know it's almost dinner time. That's why you're here. Every single day like clockwork. And he would come and she would share a plate and he ate. The thing I hated as a child was this. If she cooked and everything got dished out and then someone was just happening to pass by and my plate was still available, my meat would get cut in half, my dumpling would get cut in half, everything got cut in half to feed up, and I would just like, go home. But you couldn't say that. You couldn't say that. My food was, you know, or she would take my whole plate and say, oh, I'll give you something afterwards. And she would. But she would take my food and give it to, so I learned to eat quickly.
Yes.
I ate my meat quickly.
Veronica, it has been, this has been so great. I think we're running over our time, but I do want to just say that like the stories that you're sharing now, I think there is a big need for us to really just honor the path that people took to get to where they are. Lowell is a very like diehard, like, yes, like this is where we live and this is where we come from. And I think even doing more work to make people's stories feel relevant, like your whole background, everything leading up to where you are now has influenced your art. It's influenced who you are. And I pray that all of these opportunities that you're experiencing now, like having artwork at Purple Carrot, and like, I really hope folks out there are listening and thinking of different ways that they can partner with you and work with you. So before we sign off, is there anything that you would like to share with those out there that maybe you haven't shared yet?
Well, all I have to say is thank you for this opportunity. I feel honored. I really appreciate it. And for all the artists and artisans and storytellers out there, you have a story to tell the world. Tell it. Let's get together, tell our stories. So 50 years from now, 100 years from now, someone will see it and say, wow. And it's not a misguided information that's out there.
Yeah. Owning your story. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Veronica.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you to all of our sponsors, to Enterprise Bank, to Studio 26 Associates, to BRM Production Management, and also to our fiscal sponsor, the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. This whole series wouldn't be possible without their support. So artists like Veronica and the other ones that we have slated leading up to February are being supported because of the generosity of those organizations that I just mentioned. So if anyone out there wants to get in touch with Veronica directly, her website is vpholmesart.com. So that's VPHOLMES art.com. Please reach out. And let's keep the conversation going. So if there's any more comments people want to make, you have any suggestions for future episodes, please reach out at freesoilarts.org. Well, thank you so much, Veronica. I feel so weird because I have to say bye. And thanks to everyone who joined us that's out there in the internet. Thanks, Caitlin, for the kind words. Thank you, Purity. Thanks, everybody. So we're signing off. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and have a great rest of your Saturday. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.